have to be worried about the food situation. I don't see alarm bells ringing, but cause for concern, absolutely.
Prime Minister, in his statement, says, I want the other ministries to monitor the situation closely. He would have kind of put together a drought reform program, a drought relief program.
Monsoon, or lack of it as the case may be, could be a trigger for worsening inflation.
India is facing a deficient monsoon once again. Some states are even facing drought-like situations, and that's brought back a familiar debate. Why does Indian agriculture remain so rain-dependent despite billions of dollars being spent on agricultural and irrigation facilities? Why are we still so dependent on the rainfall? And do we have the right kind of contingency plans in place if rainfall does fail? That's our debate as we kick off We Mean Business here today. We'll get you the latest on that situation, and we'll get you a host of views on how we can tackle the monsoon story better in the years to come. We'll be joined by guests from across the spectrum to help us understand how things are playing out. We'll be joined by Professor K.V. Thomas. Firstly, we spoke to him earlier. He's the Minister for Food and PDS, independent charge. He'll be telling us what the government's assessment of the situation is. Then we'll move into some independent analysis. We'll try and understand what the weather projections are looking like. Jatin Singh of Skymet Weather Services will talk to us about that. We'll talk about what this could mean for the economy in a year of bad economic prospects. In any case, Jyotinder Kaur, economist at HDFC Bank, will be with us. We'll talk about the broader issues facing the agricultural sector and the question of how we reduce our dependence on rainfall. Hardeep Singh, former chairman of Cargill South Aisa, veteran of the agricultural sector, shares his thoughts with us, and we'll also get an industry perspective. Mahendran, MD of Godrej Consumer Products, talks to us about how industry takes it on the chin every time we see a poor monsoon. That's what's coming up on the show, but I want to kick it off by giving you an assessment of where things stand right now. This is the latest in terms of monsoon coverage regionally and also across the country. The biggest deficiency is unfortunately in the north, where you've got a 42% deficient monsoon until now. The west is seeing a 23% deficiency in monsoon. The south is also seeing a 23% deficiency in monsoon. The east is the only part of the country which is better off with about a 7% deficiency. Net for the entire country, it now stands at 22%, and we are now well into the third week of July. So even all of those comments suggesting that July rainfall would be critical, well, we've passed that critical point more or less. We first tried to assess the situation on the ground. Our reporters from across the country, different regions, filed these reports on what the situation is, what it means for farmers and the economy on the individual states.
The drought-like conditions in Punjab. Punjab is rain deficit by about 60%, and there are some districts, some parts of Punjab which have experienced hardly any rainfall, and they are deficit by more than 75%. It's perhaps the most difficult time for farmers here in Punjab, but now they're relying on groundwater. They're trying to pump out groundwater as much as possible, but then it's not very cheap. It's a very expensive proposition when you don't get electricity, and there's hardly any electricity which farmers are getting. So now they're using diesel generator sets to pump out groundwater, and the cost have gone up by about 5,000 to 10,000 rupees per acre. So it's going to add up into the input cost. Farmers say they haven't seen anything like this before. By July, most of the Punjab is covered, and they hardly have to use their pumping out machines to pump out groundwater. Government says they are assessing the situation, and after 1 week they continue to assess the situation of this. And if it continues, then they may even declare drought so that the farmers can get assistance from the government. But for the moment, everybody's looking towards sky for mercy from the rain gods.
The threat of a drought looms large over parts of Uttar Pradesh as well. The state has seen about 34% deficient rainfall, and this figure stood at about 77% till the 28th of June. The state government is monitoring the situation very closely, especially in the Bundelkhand region and western parts of the state, which have received inadequate rainfall so far in this monsoon season. And the state government says it will decide perhaps by the end of this month whether it needs to declare some of the districts that fall within these regions as drought affected. The paddy crop is perhaps the worst hit because of the delay in the sowing season as a result of a delayed monsoon. And farmers will be encouraged, the government says, to cultivate cereals and pulses to make for the shortfall and to avert any sort of an agrarian crisis.
From a delay of about 1 week in the onset of monsoon back in June, what we are staring at today is a 39% shortage in rainfall as of today. In fact, Met Department officials say that though almost all areas in Kerala are covered, the shortage in rainfall varies between 35 and 45% in some areas. The Agriculture Department officials say that paddy and pepper are the main crops here in Kerala, and what they say is that we are either looking at a shortage in the output of paddy or a delay in the output of paddy crop as well. But pepper will be the most affected crop. In fact, Kerala contributes about 90% of pepper output in the country. And what we are looking at is a probable high price of pepper over the next season. Cardamom is also another key crop that's grown out of Kerala. Of course, because of this scanty rainfall, there are some flip side or benefits as well. Rubber, one of the main crops grown in Kerala and also biggest contributor to rubber in the country is Kerala. It will benefit because of the scanty rainfall, and also some vegetables and plantation crops. But in the short term, what we're looking at is a high price of these vegetables and some plantation crop as well. But people across Kerala definitely feeling the heat. Some of the areas highly humid and very hot as well.
Comparatively speaking, the rain gods have been very kind to eastern India. The monsoon deficit in eastern India now stands at about 7% according to the Met Department, while the rest of the country is reeling from a 22% deficit. But apparently there is good news. A low pressure area is forming over northwest Bay of Bengal, Odisha and West Bengal, which will bring more rains to the area as well as central India. While the east is lucky, Assam has paid a very heavy price because of the monsoons. 128 people are dead, more than 24 lakh affected, and 19 people are still missing.
India's #1 news app just got even better. Download NDTV's new app. Fully optimized for retina display. Full screen view. Faster response time. And Sudoku. NDTV's new iPad app. Download now.